customer of mine on my Etsy shop. They wanted to say, can we make spoons? So I start off with my nice piece of vintage cutlery. I use electrical tape to make the letters straight, just a roll of normal electrical tape. You can buy special stamping tape, but it's a bit more expensive, and this works just as well. Some people even use masking tape, but I find this is good because it's a wee bit thicker. So we start off with our spoon. We put a bit of tape on to get a nice straight line, and then I mark in the middle using a permanent marker pen where the middle is to help me get my letters lined up. The next thing I do is I set out all my letters beside my stamping block. So the first word we're going to write is can, so I've got my stamps for can and I set them out here, and I find if I set my letters out it means I make less mistakes. Something else I also like to do is write down on a piece of paper the words I'm stamping, and that helps me think about how I'm going to line it up and how it will look and count how many letters there are. So I've got my letters all ready. I've got my hammer, a nice heavy 2-pound hammer, get the muscles big, and I've got my spoon. Then I put my spoon onto my stamping block, which gives you a nice hard surface, so that when you're stamping you get a nice indentation of the letters. Stamping is a wee bit different to engraving. A lot of people think it's engraving. The difference is engraving you cut away bits of the metal with a sharp object. Stamping, you're creating a hole essentially into the object, a dent in the object in a shape, so it's slightly different. So next what we do is we attach with a bit of tape our spoon to the block, and this just stops the spoon from wriggling about a bit. Spoons are a bit tricky because they're not flat, so you have to kind of hold them certain ways to get them to stay still, and it takes a bit of a knack getting it all there, but you get a really nice effect in them, and they're very popular because they're a really nice gift for people. It's something a little bit different. You can write basically anything you can fit on these. So I do a lot of hand stamp spoons. Teaspoons are about my most popular thing. So we've got our spoon, going to attach it just at the top here with the tape. You can just about see that. Maybe if I move it up a wee bit. It's tricky getting it all in. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start my stamping. I'm going to think about where the letters are going to go, because often, in fact very rarely, do I write words in order, because I usually start at the middle and work my way out to help things get lined up. So let's make a start. So I'm going to start with the end of can and work my way backwards, and that's why if you've got your letters laid out and it written down, you're much less likely to get mixed up and make a mistake. Hold my spoon, stamp in the other hand, put it down roughly where I want it to go, hold it nice and steady, and essentially this hand now pushes down and holds the spoon in place, because I need this hand to hammer. Stamping on cutlery, one whack is not enough unless you give it a really good whack, and a really good whack tends to end up with something jumping or making a mistake because you're not as controlled. Usually 3, 4, sometimes 5 depending on the cutlery. Some cutlery tends to be harder than others. I use all silver plate cutlery, but it still gets, you get different types. Some are harder than the others. So anyway, we've done our N and we'll do our A. I line up my stamp just at the edge of the other letter to get a nice even space. Sorry about the camera jumping, it's kind of tricky to do this without the camera jumping. I need some sort of stand, I think. And then my capital C. So we've got can, next we want we. I'll show you this before I put anything on it. I don't know if you'll be able to see. You see the letters? Can we? So the next thing I would do, once I'd finished the whole message, I'll not do all of that just now because it'll take a wee while. I'll just show you this quickly so you can see the process. I would blacken it out and I just use a permanent marker. You can also get special stuff from stamping retailers for marking it out, or you can use liver of sulphur. I've never tried that, but I think it might be a bit of a faff. And I find the marker pen works well. You're rubbing the majority of the marker pen away, so there's very little left on the spoon. And then you give that a minute or two to dry. What I'll do is I'll do some other letters while we're waiting for that to dry so you can see that. So then take my tape again, I've taken it off, move it down a wee bit, line it up. I think I'll make a bigger space because I'm not writing a lot. Can we make okay. I need an E, is that an E? Did I use an E? Yeah. Can we make and I'll just get the letters for spoons. So I've started this with capitals at each word, so I better do it all like that. Can we make a capital S? Let me see our S. Spoons. Maybe should have had this all set out, sorry folks. So what we'll do is we'll dry this. I use bits of old cloth or like old tea towels and stuff, are quite handy for polishing off. You don't need anything fancy. And you can see that much clearer now. Can we make spoons? So that's a little bit about how we do hand stamping. I would now finish off this by writing the rest of the message, blacken that in and give it a wee polish, and then it's ready to go. Wrap it up and send it off to the customer. Like all crafty things, hand stamping takes time, it takes a lot of practice. I made loads of mistakes. I've got a bucket full of cutlery that I made mistakes with. And you have to buy all the stamps, which can be quite expensive, to get a kit ready. But if it's something you think you'll do a lot and you'll make presents for people, then it's well worth doing. But if not, then you're probably best going to my wonderful shop, where you can see loads of designs that I've made there. I'm on Etsy, so if you just search for trulysilver.etsy.com and you'll find my shop. If you liked my video and you found it helpful, give me a thumbs up. And you can subscribe to my channel where I've got quite a few videos about hand stamping, jewellery making. I do a lot of personalised jewellery, and lots of bits and pieces. Anything you'd like to see me do and tell you a wee bit more about, please pop it in the comments, or if you have any questions, I would love to answer some questions. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.